Hey guys, Roblox 2025 here, and today I'll be doing a review on the Action Man 40th Anniversary Action Soldier. So, for those who don't know, Action Man is a toy line made by Palatoy, which is actually a license of the G.I. Joe line by Hasbro, and it lasted from 1966 all the way to 84, and it did come back in the 90s and 2000s under Hasbro before being discontinued and before being revived again in 2016 under the 50th anniversary line, and since then they have pretty much made not much stuff other than this terrible G.I. Joe stuff. But with that said, so this figure is the second version of the Action Soldier, as the first version is just a G.I. Joe soldier. So that's pretty much it for the introduction. Now into the figure. So here's the figure itself. As for the uniform, I'm not really sure what the uniform is based off of. It could be entirely fictional. And if we take a closer look at the uniform, you can see that the quality of the uniform is pretty good, at least in my standards. Sure, the strings does come out, but it's not much of a big deal. It does come with these pockets, which are not functional. It also comes with this belt, which I'm not sure why it did it, but it does make it look a bit nice. And as for his boots, the boots are actually made of rubber, and although it does make the rubber much more durable, it is much more difficult for the figure to fit his boots, as the original made of this soft plastic, which was much easier to fit the figure here in his shoes. So for articulation, he does his arms can move in all directions as well as legs, and it's pretty much your standard 1/6 scale figure articulation. Minus a few stuff. The only thing that restricts it is the strings that are inside the figure, as back then these 1/6 scale figures are made of strings and stuff, which does war over time. And overall, the figure is pretty good. I like his uniform, and there is some issues such as this kind of pocket over here, as well as these collars, which I'm not sure why Palatoy decided to make it like that. It just looks weird. And also, he does not have an undershirt, so there's pretty much like nothing underneath his shirt. For his head sculpt, he comes with a scar, which is standard in all G.I. Joe / Action Man. And I really do like this is kind of this cartoony style type of face, which is supposed to be realistic, but I don't know, it just kind of have this like cartoony charm, which is one of the reasons why these vintage G.I. Joe / Action Man faces appeal to me. As it has this cartoony style, as you know, the modern figure just tries to be really hyper realistic, which sometimes it just looks a bit too uncanny, but it does look really nice. And also, I do have the original version, but so if you compare these versions, you can tell there is a huge difference, but it's not too significant, other than they did use different plastic. His skin color for this figure is actually yellower than this one, which is like this pinkish, gets a tone which you can't see due to the lighting, but if you own these figures, you know what I'm talking about. My biggest issue is that his eyes, well, it's not my biggest, but it's one of the issues, is his eyes. The pupil's eyes a bit bigger, can't see, but tell that this does look a bit sloppy. And if you take off his beret, which does look pretty nice, he has some lifelike hair, which looks amazing. But the biggest issue is that he does have a tendency to have his hair, let's say, shed. And yeah, it's really telling. And one of the issues I have with this figure is the QC. I mean, his head is sloppy eyes, I can forgive it. But his head, hair, yeah, there is some problem with that. And this is not only the hair, as if you look at the back. Hold on, let me just try to open this one. the parts of it, some of the parts broke. Yeah, the biggest issue with this, just the QC is just pretty terrible. And I've never experienced this with a vintage Action Man ever. Only the reproduction. I'm not sure if it's because of age, which it may be a factor, but still, I mean, the fact that this figure can break is really telling. For his accessory, it does come with a stand submachine gun. And as for his details, it's pretty standard. Not too much to say. I mean, this was released back in the 70s. It does come with this chrome buttstock. And the gun is entirely black instead of like gray. And if you take off, and for his magazine, you can actually take it off, which is pretty standard, but back then it would have been revolutionary. Could this fit on a figure? Well, if you look at my intro, it does. But I'm gonna talk about the hands, which these plastic hands that was introduced by G.I. Joe. So these hands work on rifles as well as submachine guns, well, certain guns, but it doesn't really work well on pistols. Well, actually, not really well, but not at all on pistols. I try to have this figure hold a pistol or sword. It doesn't work at all. So if you wanted to this figure to have to hold his pistol, this is not going to happen at all. So that's pretty much it for the figure itself. Overall, even though this is not one of my favorite outfits from the Action Man line, that one goes to the French Foreign Legion, which I don't own as of right now. He's still a pretty good figure. I do like his uniform, even if it's fictitious, and his accessories are pretty good, and I do like his head sculpt, and I don't want to talk about too much on that. But my biggest issue is the QC, which really bumps down the grade for this figure. So with that, I'll give this a B. He could have got an A had not been for the QC. So should you get Action Man? Well, it depends, because these figures are really expensive, and since these figures are exclusive to the UK, you're gonna pay a lot in shipping. So that's pretty much it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be making more Action Man reviews in the future.
Goodbye, New York town. Goodbye, Miss Liberty. Your light of freedom will guide us across the sea. Every soldier's dream was bidding goodbye.
It comes with, and if you